Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's yours truly. I want to get this video done quickly because I am craving ice cream with chocolate syrup. So I want to get this done and edited so I can go eat my ice cream. So let's talk about the debates. Let's not bury the lead here. Who won the debate? I genuinely believe that Donald J. Trump did win the debate. Was it fair? Probably not. But did he win? Am I saying that because of a partisan? No. I'm going to go ahead and throw up some graphic images here, some graphics that show polls that were curated by regular Americans, regular people, and they all seem to have unanimously decided that Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States, ended up winning the debate against sleepy Joe Biden. Even some of the legacy media outlets like Telemundo. So even in a different language, they have, I'm showing this graph here where Trump ended up winning with 66% of the votes, and 34% of the people ended up believing that Joe Biden ended up winning this debate, which is weird because look at this. Look very carefully at this graph. You have 66% versus 34%, and the graph looks exactly the same. This is a glaring failure on the part of Telemundo, or this is propagandistic nonsense to make it seem like sleepy, creepy Joe Biden didn't lose as badly as he did. Well, this is to be expected. The fake news industry is not going to play fair. President Trump has been relentless in his beating of the press. He's been unusually cruel, and it's been nonstop since 2015. So we can't expect the press to play nice. We can't expect the press to show any sort of mercy against the president, even during a time like this where we are almost literally a month away from the actual general election. The general election is in November. Right now, we are at the very, very end of September as I'm making this video. So last night's with the debate, and it got just insane amount of views. The ratings were through the roof. Millions of people all over the world were watching this debate closely. There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm only going to talk about the most relevant things. Some of my fellow contemporaries are all diving in. They all have excellent takes on them. At least Sean Fitzgerald, or the actual Justice Warrior, he has an excellent take, and so does Six Hexenhammer. So let's talk about the good things about Trump's debate performance before we talk about the bad. First off, I like that he was a domineering force. I like the fact that he dominated the conversation. He didn't allow himself to be bullied or pushed around by Biden or Wallace when the intent was to do that. They did intend to gang up on this guy. Well, I mean, they did gang up on this guy, but they intended to get him flustered. They intended to corner him and watch him lash out like a little dog or like a wounded wolf or something, and he didn't. He held his own. He stood his ground. I think he did an excellent job. Throughout this entire debate, Joe Biden showed and exhibited nothing but weakness. Even there was a moment in the debate multiple times, but the first time that Joe Biden, creepy, sleepy Joe Biden, said that Donald J. Trump, the current president, is the worst president in American history. He said so with zero confidence, just, no balls whatsoever. He looked straight down at the ground when he said that. He couldn't look at Chris Wallace. He couldn't look at the crowd. He couldn't look at his wife. He couldn't even look at Trump. He just looked straight down. He looked pathetic when he delivered that line. And he delivered that line multiple times. The other times, it was largely missed. It was largely forgotten. It landed with a thud. It was spectacular to witness. Trump did an excellent job demoralizing sleepy Joe Biden, making him look to be significantly weak. But that's a double-edged sword, right? That's a double-edged sword because, like I said, he came into this debate completely stomping on the ground, completely dominating the entire space, and just swinging his fist and being ruthless. And while that has its perks, while that has its benefits, the cost to doing such a maneuver during this debate is that you do not allow Joe Biden to reveal one of his greatest weaknesses, which are his gaffes. Joe Biden is a gaffe master. Throughout the entire election, he has been goofing up on the campaign trail, threatening to fight the citizenry, calling members of the citizenry fat and dog-faced and all this other stuff. He's out to lunch. The guy is completely unhinged, and he has all the rope in the world to hang himself, and Trump did not allow him to do it. Again, that's why him being a domineering force on the debate stage was a double-edged sword. So while he did get a lot of airplay, while he did get to say a lot of things, he did not allow Biden to make a mistake. So that's a glaring failure on Trump's part. And if I were to be coaching Trump, if I were to be given the opportunity to advise for him, by the way, if anybody on the Trump campaign ends up seeing this, I will work for Trump for free. I genuinely mean that. You know, like I'll work for the guy. I'll work for the guy because I want him to win, and I am a huge fan of the president. I am you know, he's got my glowing endorsement, and you know, that's not to say that he's perfect. All right, that's not to say that he's without sin, that he's without error, because he is a very flawed individual, and you know, I'm not going to get too much into that, but still, I support the man. He has my unwavering support, and I do want him to win. So again, if anybody in the Trump campaign wants my advice, they want me to jump ship and help them out, just let me know. Just let me know. But let's talk about some of the mistakes that were made. He lacks follow-through. I'm going to be in total agreement with Sticks, Hex, and Hammer. He was handed opportunities on a silver platter to completely fucking crush Joe Biden, and he did not take them. He was trying to grab at all these different points whenever he was asked a question or responding to something, and instead of directly attacking at the heart of the issue, he kind of meandered into other points and kind of brought more items of discussion into the fold, and I think that was a glaring failure on Trump's part. I think he made a mistake about that. And it's really easy to criticize him when I'm in the comfort of my own home and not facing down with the former vice president of the United States during a debate to basically keep your job. So, you know, Trump did his best. Trump did his best, in my opinion. But, you know, he made mistakes, and I'm just pointing that out. I'm not saying this as a hater. I'm saying this as a lover, somebody who genuinely wants the president to do better, and I genuinely hope he learns from his mistakes. So that's issue number one, is that he lacked follow-through. Issue number two, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but he did not allow Biden to speak, you know, a lot of the times. You know, he like, I get the being a domineering force. I get being the guy with the big dick in the room, but this is a debate, and you have to let your opponent speak. You have to let your opponent get their point across so you can respond accordingly. Because let's put it this way. So let's say Biden was going to respond with two sentences. So in the first sentence, you know, by the time it's over, Trump is already responding to that, and he's attacking it. Maybe it lands, maybe it doesn't, but it might be the second part of the sentence, the second part of the response that is much easier to respond to, much easier to counter, which may likely be more effective as well. It might be a better, easier line of attack, a more effective line of attack to counter the second portion of the response instead of the first. That's just a very lukewarm example. So like he really needed to, you know, he needed to dial it down just a little bit, you know, because the guy was operating at a 10. He needed to be operating at like a 6 or a 5, right? Or maybe a 6 or a 7, because I understand what he was doing. I just don't entirely agree with it. Another thing I didn't like was the response to the white supremacist comment. First off, let's just put this out there. Trump is not a white supremacist. He's not a racist. There's no evidence for this at all whatsoever. And the claims that were made about the president in terms of the Charlottesville event are total BS, total nonsense. He is completely condemned. He is totally condemned white supremacists, genuine racists in this nation. He's never supported them. He's never courted these people. And what he did that day was support people's right to protest in favor of and against the statue. He protested both sides of the political spectrum. And, or you know, he applauded both sides of the political spectrum. He understood that both of these people have legitimate and genuine grievances. And when it came to the topic of the neo-Nazis, of the white supremacists, he completely and totally condemned them. Joe Biden, this is what he should have said. He should have said something along the lines of, I completely condemn and reject the support and the assistance of white supremacists. They do not like me. They've made it very clear they don't like me, and I don't like them. I have consistently and reliably condemned violent radicals on both sides, and that includes white supremacists. The same cannot be said by Joe Biden. Sleepy Joe has bailed out violent rioting thugs who have burned down buildings, that have victimized innocent Americans, that have planned to ambush and many times have succeeded in ambushing the police. People have burned alive. Animals have been tortured. Americans have been raped. And not once has has Joe Biden been held to the standard that I am being held to, despite condemning white supremacists, condemning the Nazis, condemning violent radicals on both sides. Joe Biden can't do it. I can. Boom, suck a butt. Sit the fuck down, Joe Biden. And Joe Biden would have been absolutely devastated because it is apparently clear that Joe Biden is incapable of criticizing or calling out Antifa or the violent Black Lives Matter activist thugs who are responsible for 35 to 40 deaths in the United States. There have been countless Charlottesville-type events this year perpetrated by the modern left, perpetrated by Black Lives Matter, perpetrated by Antifa, perpetrated by the Democrats, and not once has Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, fucking Nadler, that cunt. He says it's a myth. Videos speak for themselves. The audio speaks for themselves. We have eyes, we can see. We have ears, we can hear their rhetoric. We can hear their violent rhetoric. We know what they're up to. We have a brain. They tell us what they want. They tell us what their plans are. This isn't a mystery to anybody who has been mildly paying attention. And I've been out in the streets, I've been out and about, and I have been talking with the regular people that are out there, and they're all saying the same things. They are terrified and they are sick of the violent riots that have persisted all throughout the United States. So if you're not an American and you're under the impression that these riots are warranted, that this is totally normal because of the circumstances in the United States, first off, the United States is not a racist nation. Excuse me, that's totally not true. There isn't a systemic racist issue. This is all manufactured. This is all BS, astroturf nonsense. And these people are basically using this false narrative as an excuse to commit gross acts of violence. They create autonomous zones, and they make it incredibly dangerous for women to occupy that space. Many of them have been raped. Some of them have gone missing. Throughout the entire year, many Americans have died. They have been killed by violent Black Lives Matter activists. They have been killed by violent looters. There are Americans that have burned alive in buildings. People still deny this to this day. People have died. They have burned alive. Homes have been destroyed. And they like to say it's like, oh, well, it's overwhelmingly peaceful. It's overwhelmingly peaceful. Here's an example. And it's a video of people marching through a neighborhood. Yeah, granted, maybe technically it's peaceful because they're not killing anybody. They're not setting anything on fire. But their rhetoric is violent. I thought words were violent. The modern left suggests certain words are violence, right? Certain words should be, some certain words warrant criminal penalty. And in other times, they say that silence is violence. Which one is it, guys? When you go and meander through a neighborhood with groups of thousands of people saying you want people to give up their homes, saying that the people who are occupying these homes, who are living in these homes, they've offended, they're part of this problem of systemic racism. Well, what do you think is going to happen to them? What do you think they do to a racist? They tell us what they want to do to racists. They want to punch them in the face. They want to kill them. They want to deport them. They want to do all these terrible things. They want them jailed. They want them on lists. I mean, the ADL, the ACLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center, that's what they do. They put people on lists. The modern left is violent. Their rhetoric is violent. Joe Biden has failed to condemn the violence, and President Trump did a terrible job following through with the COVID nonsense, with the economy, and then of course the topic of racism, the topic of white supremacy. Which, by the way, white supremacists, it's not really a thing. There's this imaginary threat of violence by people who are super far right wing, and it's all imaginary. It's all made up. If you don't live in the United States and you've been fed that line by morons on the left or by the lying press, I hate to break it to you, but it's not real. It's not real. None of it is. So, there's going to be multiple debates. I think 2 more debates happening in the near future. And let's just hope, let's just pray that President Trump learned from his mistakes and he comes back fighting hard. The format was bullshit. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm saying this unironically. I didn't want to say anything in the past, but Joe Rogan probably should host the next debate. He genuinely should be hosting the next debate, letting these men, give them 4-hour-long debate. Let these men speak freely. Let them take turns. Fuck their stupid format. Just organically talk about the issues that matter the most. Immigration, crime, voter or election fraud. That's what matters most. The economy, COVID. And then, they talk about climate change. No one gives a fuck about climate change. Who cares, man? Goodness, I can't stand it. I can't stand Chris Wallace's smug face either. So, again, I support my president. I genuinely support him. I'm rooting for him, and I want him to succeed. A lot of my criticism that I thrown at him was all in love. It was all out of love. Again, I'm not under the illusion that Trump is perfect. I know he's not perfect, and he's made a lot of issues in the past, and there's some policy stuff that I don't agree with. But you know, I'm rooting for my country. You know, I stand by my president. I stand by the troops. I stand by the police for the most part. Until you fuckers, you know, you guys got to quit arresting us for not wearing the fucking masks. If I see another video of an innocent American being accosted or fucking roughed up by the police, I'm never going to support the police again over fucking masks, over unconstitutional executive orders. I'm done. I'm done with the police if this shit happens again. An innocent woman was tased and brutalized by some fucking pig, and you know, over a fucking mask, and this idiot pig's partner shows up without a mask. But if you're outside watching a football game at a high school and you're not wearing a mask, apparently that warrants an ass whooping. Never again will I support the police if you guys do that shit. I have defended the police, and then I implore everybody to never support the police again if they think it is okay to abuse innocent Americans and violate their constitutional and human rights. Fuck that shit. God bless America. Peace out.